Hey, what's up, comic book fans? I'm Troy to the Max Extreme. You are such a fuck.
Do it again.
What's up, comic book fans? I am Troy to the Max Extreme.
And I'm Ghost Hunter Dave.
And this is IMPERIUS REX.
Yeah, it is.
On this episode, we'll be doing part 2 of Hellboy, of our discussion.
That's a way to say things.
That's the way I said it, so sit back, crack open a beer, and enjoy the show. Theme song.
Theme song.
What's up, everybody?
Thanks for joining us again. Sorry to leave you hanging on the last one, but you know, we gotta factor bathroom breaks into these things. So last week we gave a pretty good overview of Hellboy.
Yeah.
Why it has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
You pick up any Hellboy book, any miniseries, any one-shot, read whatever story is in front of you, and it's a pretty good representation of what Hellboy is as a whole. Mm-hmm. There's really no weak spots in it. Everything is consistently Hellboy.
Yeah.
Like, you read one story, you like it, great. There's a whole lot more of that.
Yeah.
You don't like it, tough shit. That's all it is.
Hellboy's not for you.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, it's just, you know what to expect. It's enjoyable. It's like your favorite TV show.
Great. But now, at this point, like, the Baba Yaga is a really heavy part in it. Even though she's introduced somewhat early here.
What's a Baba Yaga, Troy?
Well, the Baba Yaga is a Russian folklore tale of, like, some witch who, like, has a chicken leg house, and...
Love that chicken leg house. They make mention of it so many times, you just wonder if there's something more to it that they're not telling us. There's not. It's just a house.
Yep.
On a chicken leg. Exactly what you'd expect.
That's what it is.
You hear it. You hear it before you see it several times. And you're like, chicken leg house? What the hell does that mean? Boom.
Chicken leg house.
Chicken leg house. It means exactly what you'd expect it to mean.
Yeah. There's a kind of a short story early on where Hellboy kind of whoops Baba Yaga's ass and, like, shoots her eye out.
Takes the eye.
From that, you wouldn't ever expect that she becomes, like, a huge part of the Hellboy story.
Yeah.
Like, she really
a
does.
Very pivotal villain.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's not, like a Lex Luthor always bearing down on him.
No, kind of like an all-seeing, all-knowing type of force.
Yeah, exactly.
That just has kind of a bone to pick with him.
Yeah.
You know, for the eye.
Exactly, for shooting her goddamn eye out.
Right.
But she's a heavy villain in it. And then, there's
she's overweight.
Well, she has to ride around in that goddamn cup.
She's quite large, and she has wooden legs. And she sucks the souls out of goats.
Oh my god.
Really, there's so much.
There's like
she brings a lot to the table.
There's a make-out scene with a goat that just lasts forever.
It goes on and on.
Depending how long you want to look at the picture, by the way. It's kind of like when Hellboy goes and off on his own into the ocean, that's kind of where, like, from here to the end is like one cohesive, long, straightforward story.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't do as many flashbacks anymore.
Yeah, before that, it's all, I mean, it is linear, but they have the short stories worked in there.
Yeah.
But it's him just kind of investigating Nazi stuff. Like, it doesn't tell one long story. It's just, they're all great. I prefer the Nazi stuff. No, that shouldn't be on camera. I prefer the Hellboy stories where he's fighting those evil Nazi bastards.
You've done it.
Yes.
Quick, you overcorrected very correctly.
Yep. Quick sidestep. Mm-hmm. I like that stuff a lot. It's a cool era, and that's where it's really Lovecraft heavy too.
Yeah. But there's like a series of stories kind of where it starts off, where when he goes to Africa, I think that's where it starts.
Yeah. Well, he leaves the BPRD.
Yeah, and he kind of goes off on his own adventures, and here, like, the adventures kind of slow down a bit. It's not to his detriment at all. But, like, they start telling, like, more drawn-out stories. And there's kind of 3 arcs after this.
He's kind of playing the long game. Because they spent 5-6 trades with a lot of fill-in little chunks of history.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like at that point they're like, okay, where is this all leading?
Yep.
Like, all the shit that he's done, what is his eventual, end game?
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, he's the beast of the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. He's prophesized to bring about the end of the world. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the end game. That's where you go. So that is where the Hellboy story eventually steers. Mm-hmm. And, that's what happened. Yeah.
And
it gets to the end of the world there.
It steers in a direction that I never saw it coming, too.
A very kind of small-scale, personal scope for a lot of it. Mm-hmm. Where there's a lot of chaos going on in, the peripheral, but it still stays with that central character of Hellboy. Mm-hmm. And it's important to note that at this point, the BPRD book has been going on for 12 or 13 trades. After Hellboy leaves the BPRD, they kind of continue the Hellboy storyline, kind of about the Nazi occultism, the Plague of Frogs plays a big role, and kind of the end of days coming. While Hellboy goes and does his own kind of personal reflection, they carry on the theme of the Hellboy story. Yeah. So I would definitely recommend BPRD if you like Hellboy, especially when it kind of splits and Hellboy takes a turn. BPRD kind of carries the weight that Hellboy had before that.
Some other characters that... Hellboy does this a few times. Other characters that you don't think were very important before... come back in a big way and are these big huge pieces that set up huge other things, and I don't think that was expected at first. Mignola was let's probably just use this guy or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw a funny pig creature.
Yeah, and that was how it that's one of them or whatever. He has this one short story where he kind of tortures this guy into being kept in this pig body for the rest of his life, and then you're sucks to be that guy or whatever, and then you don't see him for a while, and then he comes back in a big way and kind of sets off the apocalypse.
And he's yeah, does suck to be me, stuck in a fucking pig body.
You're gonna pay.
Yep. So if you're sticking with us this far and you've been witness to several spoilers of the book,
this is a spoiler alert.
Yeah, this is a big one. We've spoiled other shit, but essentially, Hellboy's destiny is that he's a descendant of King Arthur. Yeah. Which is a very left turn for the book. Yeah. That at first is a little jarring, but then upon reflection is completely fine.
Yeah, I'm
it
completely
makes
okay
perfect
with it.
sense.
When I first read it, I was not quite a fan of it. I'm okay, all right, that's fine.
You're going with that?
Yeah.
You're going with the Arthur thing?
He's a descendant of the British royalty, right? And so he's the rightful king of England, essentially, and he can wield. And Excalibur plays a role in this too.
Yeah, he can.
Which he just immediately discards.
Pulls it from the stone, and he's nah.
This sucks. I don't want this shit.
Yeah.
Because well, almost no. It's exactly because he's this. I don't want to do this shit. He's always just He never wants to fulfill his destiny because he knows his destiny is essentially to bring apart the apocalypse of Earth. Yeah. And he's no, I never want to do this shit. He's always
not for me.
Yeah. I just would rather just go beat up some old looking hag. Mm-hmm. Where are you, Bobby Yaga? I'll take your other fucking eye out.
Yep. Got that other eye? Yeah, bring it here.
But so that's the whole second chunk of the story. Well, that's near the end anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go from here, but he ends up fighting the Blood Queen, and actually ends up meeting his maker. But that sets off the events that go to Hellboy in Hell, because even though he dies, in quotes.
Spoiler.
Well, whatever. We said spoilers before.
Well, they might have jump back in. They could have sensed that we were done talking about the Arthurian stuff and
just have a ticker going across that says spoilers the whole time.
I'm not gonna do that. It's way too much time. Tickers are no good.
But anyway, his stories still continue in Hellboy in Hell, which I have not followed up with, by the way.
I've read the first trade of it. It's quite good. Yeah. Mignola's back on art duties too. It was originally intended to go much longer, and I just read recently that it is going to wrap up very, very shortly. So it's only going to be 2 trades long. Maybe 10 issues total.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think the reason for doing this is he kind of decided, like, you know what, I don't need to stretch it out. And the stuff that's happening in BPRD, Hell on Earth, is kind of coming to a head. And the stuff in Abe Sapien is coming together. So, like, now is the time to wrap up Hellboy in Hell.
Okay.
Which, take from that whatever you will, but I think it's going to kind of involve Hellboy maybe coming back and crossing paths with BPRD. But it sounds like they're kind of winding down the Mignolaverse.
Okay.
Or at least putting it on its next step. I like the Hellboy in Hell book a lot, but it's intentional, but it's very kind of meandering.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really doing anything. It's just kind of him in Hell wandering around.
Okay.
And Hell is just whatever Mignola wants to draw. Like,
oh, cool.
you know, sometimes it's just a black void. Sometimes it's like the city of Pandemonium.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fountains with faces in the genitalia that are like pouring blood.
Awesome.
And Mignola, we haven't said this at all, but he is fantastic at like establishing atmosphere
of his
books.
Yeah.
We're going to take this section, put it at the first part of the video,
should.
because this is something that should No, that's not the way to phrase it. This is something that is essential.
Needs to be said.
Yes,
like,
it's very important to the Mignola experience. He is fantastic at just like conveying the mood of his scene.
Oh, yeah. Mignola's, like, he strips it, like, I want to say strips it to bare bones, because I'm just saying that through dialogue, because there's not a lot going on. But, like, he'll have, like, a panel here, which is just, like, a picture of a statue, or whatever.
A lot of statues, a lot of paintings, a lot of architecture.
Yeah. And, like,
a lot of shadows.
The panels of action going on may just be as equal as whatever the ambiance of other panels going on, and it helps a lot. Like, I wish more artists did that.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it back in the first part. They're going to
fine.
get to it now. They have to earn that. You know what I appreciated about it?
What's that?
It knew when to quit.
That's a good point, too.
While still going on.
Yeah.
You know, like, it didn't just go on forever because it was making money. Like, he had a story to tell. When he got to the logical end of that, it was done.
Yeah.
And then he moved it to the next phase of Hellboy, which was Hellboy in Hell.
Let me do something different with it.
And he created BPRD and some of these other offshoots where he could kind of tell different stories, still keeping in this universe that he established.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't, like, chained to this character that he ran out of stories with.
Yeah.
Like, you got a story? Tell it. You don't have a story? Don't waste my time.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's very much what he does. Like, he only tells what's worth telling.
Yep.
So everything that you get is great.
I agree.
Ringing endorsement for Hellboy.
It is.
I love it. And, we didn't mention it, but I think he said in a couple interviews he based the character of Hellboy off of his father.
Oh, really?
Who I think he was like a mailman or something like that.
Cool.
And it was just one of those, like, it wasn't a glamorous job, but every day he got up, went to work, you know, punched the ticket, did his job, came home, like, had a beer, and, like, that was his life.
Makes total sense.
And that's like what Hellboy
totally
is. Like,
see it.
He's a giant demon, but he could be anyone's dad. You know? He's like...
Yeah, that's perfect.
Like, he goes in, he does the dirty work, he gets his hands dirty, he gets beat around a little bit, but he doesn't complain.
Yeah.
And anyone can relate to him, and everyone knows someone like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like this instant connection with this monstrosity that should be terrifying. People should be horrified of his presence.
Yeah.
But you root for him. He's like this underdog.
Yep.
You know, you want him to succeed even though the deck is stacked against him.
Yep.
But you just keep pushing for him and you hope for the best.
Yep.
He ends up in hell, so doesn't quite work out. But you know what? What a road that took him there.
Yeah.
Quite a journey. And Hellboy, fantastic read. I recommend it 1,000,000 times over.
Perfect.
Maybe not that many. I mean, that's a lot. You could read 1,000,000 other comics in that time.
Well, that's going to sum it up for our second part of our Hellboy discussion. So join us next week when we discuss, you know what? Whatever. Be surprised. It's life. Life is surprising. So this has been our show, Imperius Rex. I'm Troy to the Max Extreme.
And I'm Ghost Hunter Dave.
So join us next week when we discuss more about comics. And it's going to be great.
No, next week is going to be good. You should do that one.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah, at least next week, yes.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, baby!